Hello and welcome to another episode of National Divorce Talk Raw with your host, Marc Ruiz Evans. This episode will also be dedicated to my abuelita, Ernestina Ruiz Barrios Navarez. So we're going to talk about something we predicted here at Calexit for a couple of years, and that is that America is the land of Donald Trump. I'm going to show you some statistics, and then we'll come back into it. Give me 1 second. Okay, 1 second here. Okay. We're going to show you some statistics and some articles in the news, and we'll get into it. But basically, right now in 2022, February, March, April, it looks like the November 2022 election is going to go to the Republicans, where they will take back control of the House. They might even take control of the Senate. And if Donald Trump wins in 2024, Donald Trump and the Republican Party controlled by Donald Trump will have total control over the federal government in 2024, meaning that the Trump ideology will be in control of the presidency, the House, the Senate, and as we've covered here, the Supreme Court, all three or all four branches of government, depending on how you like to look at it. We want to point out that in 2016, when Donald Trump won the election, Californians were horrified. They felt that it was a picture of America that they could simply not live with. The California legislature, upon Trump's election in 2016, issued a joint statement signed by everyone in Sacramento, basically saying that California viewed America as a foreign land. They felt that they woke up in a foreign land. That was signed by Kevin De Leon and others. So basically, when Trump was elected, the California government itself said that they were shocked by the election and felt that they woke up in a foreign land that doesn't reflect California values. After that, you had the Calexit movement, which showed 32%, according to Stanford, Little Hoover Institute, and Reuters Ipsos, two separate reputable polling installations, showing 1/3 of 40 million people wanted automatic secession immediately because of Donald Trump's election and selection by America. What was not widely reported outside of GQ magazine was that the amount of Californians who were actually interested in secession was 47.5%, not 32%. A lot of the news mischaracterized the reporting of support for Calexit in February 2017, right after the November 2016 election of Donald Trump, and said, well, if 1/3 of California is for secession, 2/3 must be against it. That was posited by the news, and it was completely false and not backed up by any sort of data. The Stanford Hoover Institute and Reuters Ipsos polling both showed 32% supported secession, an additional 15.5 to 15.7% said they were not opposed or didn't know how they felt about the idea of complete secession from America, which means that 47.5% of Californians, February 2017, according to Stanford Hoover Institute and Reuters Ipsos polling, said they were open to discussing secession. Let me show you that poll real quick, just so we can verify that information. Here we go. 1/3. There you go. Reuters Ipsos shows 32%, 15.5 don't know, 47.5 willing to talk about it. And we broke down, there's the actual poll right there by Reuters Ipsos on January 25th, 2017, with the questions that they asked. This was getting the information from Reuters directly about the unknown percentages. Don't know, 15.5. That came from Aaron Morse on behalf of Chris Jackson, who conducted the poll for Reuters Ipsos. Here's some more data on that. And then we're going to show you the Stanford poll. Here's Stanford, 27% were for, 19% not sure equals 46% open to discussion from the Stanford University poll. And as we saw here, it was 32% support according to Reuters, 15.5% don't know, so 47.5% willing to discuss it according to Reuters, February 2017. This poll, and then this poll here by Stanford University showed 46% willing to discuss secession. And here's the poll itself, highlighted. Needless to say, when Donald Trump won in 2016, Californians freaked out. I was in Sacramento the day after the election. There were people crying in the streets, crying on the lawn of the Capitol. The place was swarming with cops, and people were marching in the streets with no concern for automobile traffic. It was a chaotic scene. I'd never literally seen a place where hundreds of people, no matter how many blocks you walked in any direction, were just weeping and crying. It was surreal and seemed like some sort of genocide or bomb had gone off. It was an election, but a bomb had gone off in the minds of Californians. They never thought Donald Trump would win. They viewed Trump as somebody who hates immigrants, hates Mexicans, and hates diversity, and he won. That's why the California legislature issued that statement saying, feel like we woke up in a foreign land today. Let me see if I can find that for you real quick. Here you go. One second, I'm trying to find that article for you. Okay, well, I'll show you this just to prove that happened. So, woke up in a foreign land, California legislature on Trump's win. We woke up feeling like strangers in a foreign land. We woke up feeling like strangers in a foreign land. That's what the California legislature said. Here's another article representing it. I'm going to try to get to this. Today, we woke up feeling like strangers in a foreign land. A joint statement from Assembly Speaker Rendon and State President Pro Tem. Drawing a total blank on his name. Anyways, they said they felt that they woke up in a foreign land and that America was a foreign land. And what they were talking about was Trump was so anathema to California values. Our love for the environment, for clean water, for diversity, for immigrants, for immigration, for climate change. He was against all of that. And we said, how could America pick a man like this who's so anti-California values? And that's what shocked Californians. That's why immediately a third of Californians were said, let's secede today. I want to be clear. Reuters is not a slapstick together polling agency. Neither is Hoover's Stanford Institute. And both of them said a third of Californians supported secession. And just under half, by 3 percentage points, supported discussing secession. And it was because Trump was there. And the legislatures at the same time said, we feel like we woke up in a foreign land. Because they never thought that America would pick a guy like that. And let's be clear, America did choose Trump. So the only reason that Trump lost the popular vote to Hillary Clinton was because of the votes in California. So if you exclude the votes from California, a majority of Americans in America picked Donald Trump. If you exclude the votes from California in the 2016 election, Trump won the popular vote, which means over half of Americans outside of California supported Donald Trump and everything that he believed. Now, Californians after the election immediately went to the conspiracy theory that Russia had hacked the elections. Now, Russia interfered in the elections, but the CIA and multiple intelligence committees only told us that Russia had hacked the elections. Many Californians took that to mean that votes were literally switched from Hillary to Trump. And for years, until the Robert Mueller investigation, they literally believed that. They believed, oh, you know how we felt like, how could America elect Trump because he's so anti-California values? And for a second, we were scared that a majority of Americans outside of California also support anti-California values. Don't need to worry. Turns out Trump wasn't actually selected by America. He was picked by Russian hackers. And so we in California don't really need to entertain the thought that Trump represents America and that America is out of line with California values in a big way. We can just say, hey, the election was hacked and the votes were switched. We know now that's a total lie. Russia tried to influence the election, but there is no data and no statement from anyone, CIA, FBI, NSA, House Intelligence Committee, Senate Select Intelligence Committee, that said Russia flipped votes, which means that in 2016, a majority of Americans outside of California voted for Trump because they support his values. We also like to point out in 2020, Trump almost won. Joe Biden won the election by 52%. Trump had about 47, 48%. So yeah, in 2020, Trump lost, but Joe Biden, after all the horrible stuff Trump did, really only won by 2 points. And Trump almost won. And again, if you exclude the California vote, it's almost half the population of California of America voted for Trump. Let me show you that real quick. California popular vote for Hillary 2016. 1 second. Hillary won election in popular vote in 2016 because of California. Okay, here you go. Let me show you that just to prove that's true. Clinton's popular vote win came entirely from California. So in 2016, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote only because of us in California, which means if you pull California out, over half of America voted for Trump. So outside of California, over half of America supports Trump in 2016. And in 2020, it's basically the same statistic. So consider that. But the reason Californians were able to prevent themselves from completely flipping out was they said Russia hacked the election, and therefore we don't need to really believe that Trump is representative of America or that Americans really believe those ideas. If Trump wins in 2024, that won't be there. For this reason, Trump controls the Republican Party. So if the Republican Party wins in midterms in 2022, it will not just be the Republican Party, but a Trump-infused, Trump ideology backing Republican Party that will win. And if Trump wins in 2024, it'll be because he stayed true to his values, which means that if Trump wins in 2024, Californians are going to have to deal with the reality that they escaped in 2016, which is that America actually likes Donald Trump and his values, or at least over half of them outside of California, aka California. You live in a country where half or over half of the people outside of your state like Trump's values, which are anathema to your values. And you're going to find out in midterms when the House goes to the Republicans and maybe the Senate that a lot of America supports Trump values because it's Trump's Republican Party. And then in 2024, it'll be worse than 2016 because Trump will have total control. Part of the reason that Californians didn't freak out as much as they could have in 2016 was they said, well, Russia hacked the election. and therefore it wasn't really Americans voted for him. The other thing they said was the resistance movement. We don't need to worry about Trump because we'll resist him. What they meant was the House was liberal and the Senate was 50-50. So they could really stop a lot of Trump's legislation and investigate him a lot because the House was liberal against Trump. What happens in 2020 when there is no liberal House, there is no liberal Senate, the House is Trump Republican, the Senate is Trump Republican, and the president is Trump? Now Trump will have no one blocking his agenda and be able to do everything he wants, which means many of his horrible ideas will come to pass. So a 2024 election with Trump, with control of just the House, let alone control of the Senate, and also control of the Supreme Court, as we've covered, means that Trump will have total control. That's something he never had in 2016. Additionally, Californians will not be able to say that the election was hacked by a foreign power and votes were switched. They'll have to deal with the reality that America likes Trump, they support his values, and over half of the population outside of California supports what he believes in and thinks that way. And they will have to deal with living in a country that implements all of Trump's ideas. And all of that will happen in 2024, which is why we predict that Calexit will happen with Trump's election in 2024. And we also predict that Calexit could happen if the midterms go to the Republicans in 2022, because the Republicans are Trump aligned and Californians will see the midterms passing power to the House, to the Republican Party, as America saying they're cool with Trump and his ideology. I'm going to show you some sources to back up this analysis, but that's basically what the point of today's episode is.
We've all had that moment. It's
sure, but
very relatable, but we haven't all been president of the United States. I think the other thing that all of this shows is it's no accident Obama is brought in now as Democrats are fully pressing the panic button on the midterm elections. They see the polling, it's not getting better. In fact, in some ways, it's getting worse. The landscape looks extraordinarily dire. I mean, I'm seeing projections now that on the current track, and with demographics, especially Latinos, shifting to the Republican Party, you could end up not only with Trump in the White House, but with him having a freaking supermajority in the Senate and control of the House. So Democrats have sort of like...
There it is. Trump could control the House and the Senate. Let's take a look at this article. This came out. Trump would beat Biden by 6 points and Kamala Harris by 11 points in 2024 race. New poll shows. This is by New York Post. A Harvard Caps Harris poll, Harvard University poll, showed that Donald Trump would beat Biden by 47 to 41%. So Donald Trump would win 47% of the vote and Biden would win 41% of the vote if the election was held today. That's what Harvard University said. It's even worse if Trump goes up against Kamala. He beats her by 11 points. Now, that's the Harvard poll. And this article came out March 29, 2022. Here's another article by CNN. Came out in March 2022. And it shows another poll by a different polling agency, Wall Street Journal, shows Trump and Joe Biden each at 45% amongst registered voters in a hypothetical 2024 matchup. So Joe Biden and Donald Trump at 45% each, basically tied, Biden not beating him by all, and they're tied. That's what Wall Street Journal said. That was reported in March. Also reported in March, here's a Harvard University poll, and it shows Trump at about 47%, Biden at 41%. What's interesting is the Wall Street Journal poll shows Trump at 45%, and the Harvard poll shows Trump at 47%. So they're basically 2 percentage points off on their prediction of how well Trump would do in the 2024 election, both Harvard and the Wall Street Journal, and that's being reported in the New York Post and CNN. So they're predicting Donald Trump will win. That's the way the polls are reading now. And then we can talk about how the GOP might take control of the Congress in the midterms coming up in 2022. and this is The Week. This is a liberal magazine. Republicans are expected to gain control of the House of Representatives after the 2022 midterms and could even reclaim the Senate if they hold vulnerable seats in Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Wisconsin, and flip seats in Arizona, Georgia, or Nevada. So they only have to hold these seats, and they really only have to flip seats in 2 states, either Arizona, Georgia, or Nevada. So they have 3 states they could flip. They only need to flip 2, and they need to hold on what they have, and they would have control of the Senate, and they are projected to have control of the House. And we already showed you how Trump is projected to win the election in 2024. Here's the other point. February 8th, 2022, this is only about a month old, month and a half. The Republican Party is now the party of Trump. He has control of them. It is his party. They back his values. They are a representation of his values. The never Trumpers led by Liz Cheney have been defeated and they're gone. Here's the New York Times. I know paywall, but I'll show you. Don't kid yourself. Republicans live in fear of Trump's wrath. So this is another article by the New York Times, April 4th, 2022. And here's this February 8th, 2022. So February, April, NPR, then the New York Times, both saying the Republican Party is the party of Trump. Okay. Here's another one by the New York Times saying the Republican Party is the party of Trump. That's the point of that. Those are the polls. And this is the data that California alone brought the Hillary Clinton percentage. So as you can see, midterms are projected to go to the Republicans in the House. The Senate might easily go Republican. The Republican Party is the Trump party. Californians are going to freak out when a majority of Americans outside of California choose the Trump ideology in 2022. If Trump wins in 2024, as predicted by the Wall Street Journal and Harvard University, then Trump would have something he never had before, which is total control of the entire federal government, the House, the Senate, and the presidency. He could literally pass any bill that he wants, and the resistance movement wouldn't be there. There'd be no investigations. There'd be no trials. There'd be no shutdown of what he wants. He would get everything that he wants, and it would be Trump exactly as he still isn't with all the ideology that he believes in. So as scared as California was of what Trump means to America and what damage he means to California, it's going to be even worse in 2022 and 2024. Trump could have total control. Californians knew he didn't have total control in 2016. Now he will have total control. Californians also believe that the election was rigged by Russia, and Russia literally switched votes, and it wasn't their fellow Americans who voted for him. That's been disproven. And there's so much security now against foreign interference in election that the elections in the future are going to be declared as that's what the people chose. So we're going into a time where Trump's going to have total control. There will be no ability to resist him, and there will be no ability to say anything other than the American people selected Trump and his ideology, and that a majority of Americans outside of California like Trump. So it's going to be even worse than 2016, which is why we predict Calexit will happen in the midterms 2022 and also 2024 with Trump, because in 2016, when they could resist him and when they could say to themselves, America didn't really reflect him, they still cried over the Capitol like a nuclear bomb went off. They still issued a joint declaration by the entire California government saying that America was a foreign government. And they started the Calexit movement, which showed 1/3 of 40 million people supported secession, and almost half of 40 million people were open to a discussion about secession. So all that's coming. It's going to be really bad for California, but it's going to be really great for Calexit. So we expect the midterms to be a bump for Calexit because it means Trump ideology is the winning ideology in America. And we expect to be a gigantic bump for Calexit in 2024 because it will mean that America backs Trump's ideology and he can actually implement his entire agenda. And there will be no court challenges at all because the Supreme Court is full of Trump nominees. So it's going to be even worse than anything California saw in 2016. And when it happened in 2016, we lost it. That's why we think Calexit is coming in the near future. Right on.